Satan is always the instigator. Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Sabbath School Study Group. I am excited. We're starting a whole new quarter of lessons. We're starting a whole new series in these 5 parts to remember that Jesus wins and Satan loses. But we start by seeing Satan's attack. And that's where it always begins. Problems always begin in our enemy. Lucifer, who became Satan, who's now also known as a bunch of different names, including the devil and the dragon. These names are important to recognize because we're going to see them referred to all throughout the book of Revelation. Last book of the Bible, but actually the book of Revelation is the book where everything, even eternity, begins. So let's start by understanding this important principle. Whenever there's a problem, you're going to find Satan very nearby. Same happened in heaven. In Revelation chapter 12, in verse number 4, it says, "His tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and it cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born." Vital to catch this, because this is creating now the context for what we're going to call the Great Controversy. Another way to understand that is the cosmic conflict. It's the war and the struggle between good and evil. While there are 2 sides, there are only 2 captains. We're focusing on the loser. We're focusing on the other side today because he is the loser. We're focusing on Satan because that's where all the trouble started. Revelation 12 is an empowering book because it points the finger at the problem. Look at verse 9. Revelation chapter 12 verse 9 says, "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." So now you see this dragon metaphorically being representing Satan. And his tail, or the dragon's tail, draws out 1/3 of the heavenly host, the heavenly angels. But they're drawn out and thrown out with him. He is the source. He is the center of the struggle. And this struggle it began within himself. And it carried on to those who happen to be around him. So now, knowing that all these names are pointing to one individual, Satan, who was a created being, because Lucifer was an archangel, now we see verse 10, where he's even given another identity. Not only is he the problem, but it says in verse number 10, "I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before God day and night." I hope that the fog is lifting. And the reason why we're doing this, I believe the Lord is leading us to do this, is so that whenever we see a problem, we know who to blame. And here, Revelation 12:10 calls Satan the accuser. And not just accuser in general, but the accuser of the brethren, those who are in fellowship with God. Satan centers his attacks on them both night and day. Let me stop saying them. Satan centers his attacks on us who believe in Christ both day and night, accusing us, bringing before our Father and bringing before Christ what we have done wrong. The fact that we see that he's the one, he's the problem child, if you will, in this whole situation, we can start to give ownership where it's due and recognize when we see evil, when we see confusion, when we see hurt, when we see defeat, these are all symptoms of the same source, fruit from the same tree. And the tree, in metaphorically speaking, is Satan. The source is Satan, and the seed is sin, found in him now, that starts to infect all of heaven and even led down to infecting earth today. We got to label the sides in this battle because we can't really rejoice over who loses until we first understand why they need to be defeated. And Satan has painted himself, and the Bible has painted Satan in his true light, whereas Satan has painted himself as a victim, as a harmless individual, as the one who's actually trying to do what is right. That's what you'll hear if you talk to true demonologists, if you talk to those who are truly into the esoteric arts, if you talk to those who are dealing or dancing with the devil on any level, there's always going to be some level of defense for his agenda because they've been deceived. That's why he was even called the deceiver of the whole world. Brothers and sisters, friends of God, we got folks who are deceived. His goal is to deceive in order to destroy. But God's goal is to reveal in order to redeem. We can stop blaming people whenever we see problems. Now, they may be the tools, they may be the face that we see, but the man behind the glass is always Satan. So we can stop blaming our spouse, stop blaming our children, stop blaming the government, stop blaming those people, stop blaming them, start blaming him. Because when we start blaming him for what he's due, we'll start believing in the one who tells us what to do. I hope we catch this, sisters. I hope we get this, brothers. Blame belongs to Satan, but the blessing is all God's.